Yeah, I think it's about the time. So, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Wen Wu. I'm the product manager in the MEANWELL Europe, that's based in the Netherlands. Today, I'm going to present you our new products for two topics. As you can see in my background, that the first topic we will talk about is for the enclosed type power supply, chargers and inverters. And then second topic we will talk about is the high power solutions. And each of topic will be divided into two parts. The first part is the new product introductions, and followed by the applications that will be presented by my colleague Dylan. And then we will go for the first topic, and then the new product application, and then go for the second topic, new product and applications. Right? It will take 2 hours, 2 hours in total, and then I hope that from end of this webinar, and we can share with you some info so that it will help you to design the projects. For first, I would like to go for the enclosed type charger and inverter, but actually I'm only the presenter, but not the responsible product manager. And the one who is responsible for this is the Frank Chen, who is based in the headquarters in Taiwan, and then he's online. And today, I think I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him to you, and he would like to give us a short talk about the outlook of these products for his product lines, and also the strategy. How can we promote our new product for the trending market and application? Hi, Frank Chen. The floor is yours.
Hi, good day, everyone. I am Frank. I am product manager at Taiwan headquarters. This is my pleasure to share with you the product outlook and development strategy for 6 niche product lines. Next page. As you can see on this page, MEANWELL has 12 product lines. I am in charge of 6 niche product lines. First one is rail, battery charger, inverter, onboard type adapter, and DC to DC converter. But today we will focus on introducing new generation inverter and charger. I am also responsible for 6 niche efficient hosts, includes D2D, rail, inverter charger, PCB type, medical, and adapter. There are 4 sections in each host, includes product overview and product introduction, new products, and media center. Last one is solutions. So I think this is a great place to learn more MEANWELL product lines and product solutions. So this is very useful. Next page. Let's move on to new products. First one is inverter roadmap. As you can see on this page, MEANWELL TS series has been released for more than 10 years and are all products now. Therefore, MEANWELL is releasing new generation inverter, NTS NTU series, and our EU team will show you for more details later. Next page. This page same as inverter roadmap. Our PB series also has been released for more than 10 years. So MEANWELL are development NPB series. So NPB series will replace PB series in the future. In addition, actually MEANWELL's rail product line is already very complete, but we are developing some series for security market, such as new generation DUPS and also DRC series extend up to 118 watts, as well as all-in-one security power DRS series. Okay, let's use one page to talk about this niche product lines, and we focus industries. It includes mobile power solution, renewable, and UPS-DC backup applications. So if you have any demand, you can suggest our new generation NTS NTU series, also MPB charger, as well as single type DIS series. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And now I will back to our EU team. They will show you new products and applications for more details. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Frank. And then, I hope that with Frank's explanations, that you know that what we can do for this our 6 product lines, and then how can we further help you to design in the new projects and for the applications and new markets. And I know that Frank is working very hard, but he cannot work alone. So therefore, we need you as a distributor to help us to promote the new products and therefore to get the sales. That's very important. So first of all, I would like to, before I start my new product introduction part, and then I would like to ask you to give me to do some commercial things again on this slide. This is about the app, the MEANWELL app. So why we are going to promote the MEANWELL app is because nowadays, human beings, we cannot live without the mobile devices. And then if you still use your mobile phone to check our website, go to the web browser and check our website, and sometimes it just takes too long. So it's not so efficient. Therefore, an app is very important. As you can see on the slides, we providing this iOS app and also Android app. And from this app, where you can find the new information about our products and also company news, and even some videos and marketing news, and etc. and so on. Yes, I would like to ask you, if you are not downloaded yet, please download it to your mobile phone today, and then try to use it as much as possible, because when you go to visit the customers in the near future after the COVID, then with your mobile phone, this is a great place where you can search information from MEANWELL. Of course, nothing is perfect. We will always there's a room for improvement. So in case that you find this app has something that you think should be better, please let us know via the survey after the webinar today. Great. Then we can go for the new product introductions. First of all, I would like to talk about the enclosed type, which has a model name HRP-N series. So before I go to the detailed slides for the HRP-N, I would like to give you the overall roadmap of our enclosed type power supply with power factor corrections. As you can see on the slides, you know, if you're familiar with our MEANWELL product, I guess you do, is we already have the HRP series, and then because the demand from the customers for the inductive load, which they require for the peak power, therefore we also release HRP-N series that's ranging from 150 watt till 600 watt. And for our RSP series, that you know is a very high run product families, ranging from the very 75 watts all the way to 10,000 watts, and you can do that in parallel. And we also have a fully digital power supply design, and also with the power supply which has the high output voltage for the CSP 3000, and not forgetting about our UHP series, which is very important and popular model because it has no fan inside, so it can be suitable for a lot of applications. And then I also talk about our PHP 3500 series. where we will show you with high output voltage versions in the later slides. The first is HRP N series. So what's the key feature for this HRP-N is it can provide 250% peak power up to 5 seconds. And then you reuse the enclosure or casing from the HRP series. And you may imagine what can be used for this peak power. Now there's lots of applications like magnetic drive pumps, air compressors, coffee machine, building counters, machines, and lots of equipment or machines that with the motors inside, because the motor is inductive load. So when you turn on the motor, you will need this instant power, peak power, and then imagine that you just use a normal power supply, and sometimes it just go through the protection, either it's a hiccup or the constant current, and may not provide the optimum performance for the equipment. Therefore, HRP N series provide very good benefit is that you don't need to use 2 times the power supply anymore, because if you for a power supply which has no peak power, then if you want to use with the motors, then normally you need 2 times as power supply, which is very costly. With this N series, because it can provide peak power, so therefore you only need 1 power supply can do the job done. So this is a very nice features for that. The next new product I would like to show you is our PHP series, which has a high output voltage. We call it HV versions, yeah, with a high output voltage. As you know that we already have the PHP 3500 series with a SELV output voltage. That means output voltage is less than 60 volts. We know that for some applications, the voltage requirement is higher. Therefore, we are going to release this high output voltage version. We're using the same enclosure as the low voltage version. So there will be 3 models: 115 volt VDC, 230 VDC, and 380 VDCs. And you can see it's similar with the low voltage version, that it can be conduction cool. That means without fan. Of course, with some deratings, and also you can use for the water cooling. And here you can use our water cooling plate, HS-656, and also even you can use for fan in case your customer's end system has a fan. You can also use it. You can adjust the voltage and current via the potentiometer or via the PVPC, even for digital communication. PM bus as the standard unit. Of course, CAN bus is also possible as an optional. It has built-in DC-OK, remote on-off functions, complete with the EN ITE approvals. With the EAC, CE here is also UL. I didn't know, but it's also UL for that. So that means it is cover most of the road, the countries in the road. It design referred to this 61558 and also household applied approvals 6055. It will be released soon. I guess within 2 weeks you will get emails about this new product release. And here this slide show you what's the high output voltage models we have in MEANWELL for the high power. First up, this is a CSP 3000, and then with also 3 output volt version, 120, 250, and 400s. And then now we are going to release the fanless model PHP. For PHP, then is the 115 volt, 230 volt, and 380 volt. But you can also use to cover the 380 volt for the 400 volt version, as you can have, yes, you can get from the CSP things. The sales, our internal sales record shows that CSP 3000 is actually quite good. So that's one of the reasons that we released this PHP 3500 high voltage version as well. And here is the way of high output voltage approach comparison tables. Traditionally, if your system require to have high output voltage, what you're going to do is you just buy the power supply, several, and with the ACLV output, and then you put them in series. Of course, if you do that, that means that you have a very complicated wiring, and because you're using multiple power supplies, therefore the cost is high, and because more electronics, that means the overall reliability of the system is low, and then there's some limitations. Therefore, the benefit of using a PHP or CSP is that you only need a single unit, and then the wiring and cost is all better than the traditional approach. The only issue here is because of the output voltage is dangerous. So in a system way, you have to make a protection in case you want to avoid the electrical shock to human, for example. Yeah, that's the only things that needs to be considered. So what are the applications for PHP 3500 high voltage series? You can use for industrial laser application, for engraving, for the cutting, and then you can also use for UV curing, and then also for the greenhouse applications where, excuse me, they use a centralized power voltage with a very high voltage over the cable, because the loss will be lower over the lines, and even you can use for charging. And also the benefit is like the wiring and the thickness of the wire can also be reduced compared to the low voltage but high current versions. Okay, so this is about the PHP 3500, which will be released soon, within 2 weeks. The next new product I would like to show you is HEP 1000. Yeah, this is not the enclosed type power supply, but is more for the power supply which needs to use for the harsh environment, or the power supply that needs to have the IP67 labels. As you are familiar with our HEP, that we already have the 100 watt to 600, and now we have these 1000 watt versions, and then there are 3 types of output models: 24 volt VDC, 48 VDC, and 100 volt VDCs. Rugged design, IP67, and with 10G vibrations capabilities. It has the PM bus as the, it has the communication protocol possible for the CAN bus and PM bus, yeah, for selections. But the standard version is a blank one. You can also do this curve adjustment, and then it has the approvals for ITE, and then design refer to household regulation as well. And it has been released. What we want to focus is now we also have a wiring version, because what before we released is terminal type 1, and then now we also have the wiring one with this approval ratings. And here you can see the tables give you the overview of what's the function you have. I think the blank one is the standard one. The other one is the optional. But this is standard optional, so the MOQ is less than the modified products. And for details, please check with your contact with the sales windows to get the products. And here you can see overview what kind of functions that for each type of the models that can provide to you. So for example, like we also CPM. CPM means that is as a charging functions, and then it has the PM bus included. It's for CPM model. HEP 1000 series that can be suitable for lots of applications. Here we want to show you is for example, like a 5G base stations where they need a power supply can be used for the outdoor, and also for the place where has some the water or is not dry. So it is suitable to take the HEP series, and for some industrial application, also for charging applications, because it's rugged design with the parted and the party material also help for the heat dissipations. So therefore, HEP series also can work with very wide temperature range. So for some charging application, this harsh environment is required. Then HEP is suitable for that. Okay, then I am done with the enclosed pipe power supply part. Then I would like to move forward to the inverters. So for the inverters that we are going to release is the NTS series and NTU series. So here give you some the slides about the category of the inverter. What we have at the moment is the TN and TS series, as you know already, and then we are launching the new NTS and NTU series. So what is the NTS series? Is the the inverters ranging from 250 watt all the way up to 3,200 watt. And with the NTU is the inverter plus UPS function, which we have a dedicated slides from mine, or even Dylan will talk more detail into it. And then it has a sine wave output for the inverters, which is good for all kinds of applications. Sorry. Okay, here the slides show you the selection table of this new series of inverters, and I will not go through in the details because this is this table just gives you quick references in case you want to suggest or recommend to your customers. So what's the key features for the NTS and NTU? And then we have this first, the P with the model name. Model code with a P, that means it's a PCB type. So we have the 250 watt and 400 watt for the PCB type, but we also have a standard alone, just like a TS series, with a wide power range, and also with the UPS function NTU. And it has the 200% peak power capabilities. And then with the output, the output waveform is less than 3%, and the output voltage can be selectable via the dip switch. Yeah, and I think this way we have a dedicated slide for further discuss about this. And also you can choose output frequency between 50 Hertz or 60 Hertz, also via the dip switch. New version has been improved, especially on the no low power consumptions when it's in a power saving mode. And then it is a fanless design to the 300 watt with a built-in temperature control for the fan speed. So therefore, when the load, the connected load is low, and then the fan will rotate also low to reduce the acoustic noise generated by the fan. It has a lot of for the protections, and in case the abnormal issue has been triggered, it will automatically shut down the inverter by itself. Wide temperature range, so that makes a difference between the MEANWELL inverter and our brand, because our inverter is designed based on industrial grade. So our inverter can really suitable for very wide temperature operating range, and also for all kinds of the scenario and also the applications. You can also work with our remote controller IRC series that you can work with it starting from the NTS 750 and up to the 3,200 watts. And IRC that you can already, if you have experience before, that IRC is used together with our TS series for the control functions. It also has a pull handle optional as an optional accessory, which have one dedicated slide for that. For NTU series, then we have built-in UPS functions, and we have all the approvals and suitable for the lead acid battery, but also for the lithium-ion batteries. And then we already launched some product, and we will continue to launch up to the high power, high wattage version until the Q2 of next year. So of course, at MEANWELL, we are always seeking for the improvement. So yeah, one of the things you can see from the slides is that we make our environment better is because this NTS and NTU series that for the packaging that for example like the things that to fix the inverters into the carton box that we are now changing from the EPE plastic into the paper versions, and also we don't use any ink on the packaging itself compared to the previous one, so that is more the environmental friendly. Also is also for the user friendly because for this new packaging, you can see we try to use more simple as much as possible. That means that with the pictures and then the drawings that will help people to understand immediately instead of reading what's written on there, but to just use the symbol, and then most of people understand how does it work and what kind of function it provides. Of course, with the improvement of technologies, we will try to make the size smaller. As you can see on this slide, you can see everything is smaller. Now mentioning the power is bigger because, for example, that if you will compare with the the TS200s, and now the one is comparing is NTS300, so that means the power is already better, while yet the size has been reduced. Okay, so this is a win-win situations. That means reduced size and also higher power. Okay, also the parameters or the specifications has been improved as well. So we have this new one with the building type for NTS, and also standard alone with more wattage for select. Output voltage is also better range, and then the no-load power consumption is also smaller, and then yeah, you can see everything is better. Yeah. So for people who want to change the output voltages, and then for the current version for TS series, then you have to use the pin and to this button, and then to change the output voltage via this circular rotations, yeah, which is not so convenient because you don't see, you have to measure it to know if this the output voltage is that what you want. So the improvement that we have done is like we use a dip switch. So with dip switch, you can make the four types of the voltage for selection, and also way to select the different frequencies. I think my colleague Dylan have a dedicated slides for that as well. One of the important thing is the plug, yeah, for the AC plug. For new generation, for the NTS, that we have this European plug for sure used in Europe, and also for the US market with a US market, and also for Chinese market, that was a Chinese plug. And it's also possible to have a universal one, but however, it is for the universal one that we cannot the component that supply the universal plug cannot get a CE. So therefore, because this violates the rules, national standard in the European countries, therefore this universal plug then is not possible to have a CE. Yeah, but yet in case that is not a concern for you, then you can choose for the universal plug, because you can have one plug, but you can use almost everywhere in the road. We also make this the optional accessory like a pour handles. So what does a pour handle is like? You can purchase this pour handle, which we will show in the price list in July from this year, and with this pour handle accessories. And with a pour handle, then it's more convenient to carry the inverters. Yeah, it's optional. That means that you don't get have it by the product itself, but you have to order as a separate accessory from us. We also make better information showing on the labels and also in the instruction manuals. And for NTU, it has the built-in UPS functions. So what is UPS? Yeah. So in case that when the AC mains is presented, yeah. So the inverter will bypass the AC mains and to the connected load. That means the energy is taken from the mains directly without using the energy from the battery. That means that the battery can have a better or longer lifetimes. Yeah. But in case that the AC mains is broken, or is black out, that it will go to the inverter mode, and therefore the energy from the battery coming to the inverter will be converted into the AC mains and to continue supply the load which is connected to the inverters. And the transition is within 10 milliseconds. So that means there's no problem to pick up from the UPS and then back to the inverter mode. What are the applications for the inverters? We can simply divide. There are two categories. The left-hand side, that's where there is no AC mains. So we can categorize there is a mobile AC power supplies. So for example, like in the caravan, even for the hospital, medical cars, and some camping vehicles, and some equipment that's off-grid. For example, like the industrial, the vacuum cleaners, forklift, even for use for the mobile power bank. In case that you use for the AC mains is presented, then you can use our NTU series, and then you can use a lot of the application like for place or territory regions where the AC mains is not stable, so it's suitable to use as NTU inverters, or even for backup or fire protections, even for some equipment that's important, and then you want to make sure it's running 24 hours, 7 days per week, and the whole years. So there are two applications. Okay, for use for this new inverters. The next one, I would like to move to the new chargers. That is a NPB and NPP series. Again, similar to the inverter, that we want to show you the product categories, and then you can see our chargers is quite complete, and we are launching the new chargers to replace the PB series. Yeah, so new chargers will ranging from the 120 watts all the way to 1700 watts. So you can see that this is a roadmap for this PB and NPP series chargers, and you can give an overview to know that this is a new version to replace the PB series. For this slide is a selection table. This is some slide. This table they give you very quick references, and then where you can use it when you want to find the information, and in this quick comparison chart. We will launch this NPB 120 to this 360 in July, summer this year, and then the higher models or higher power models is going to be expected in Q4 of this year. There are new features for this NPB 120, 240, and 360. It is a universal input, small size, without fan, and then you can select the 2 or 3 stage charging curve via the dip switch, and then you can adjust the output current or charge voltage via the potential meters on the panel of the unit. Less than 0.15 watts for no low power consumption. and also provide all kinds of protections in case it's abnormal. And again, is designed with an industrial grade. Therefore, it can run very wide temperature range from -30 all the way to 70 degrees. Suitable for the lead acid battery, but also for lithium ion batteries. It has a dual certifications, ITE, and also household approvals. 3 types of the multiple output connectors, terminal block 1, as you can see on the slides, and also with a wiring where we have this 4-pin XLR, normally I call it a microphone head connectors, and also for Andersons. So we will release in July this year. So again, the new series is better in terms of size. You can see this quick comparison that NPB 360 is already smaller, 45% smaller than our PB series. So with the new generation MPB, we would like to show you comparison tables. What I want to point out is like the voltage range is much wider than the current products. And then you can also select the 2 or 3 stages, depends on the needs via the deep switch, and then you can adjust the output current and voltages. Yeah. So similar concept as our inverter, which I introduced before, is also user-friendly as an improvement for this MPB. For example, like the deep switch for the charging curve selections and output voltages via the potential meters or VR. And you can also adjust the charging current as well. In the previous versions, PV, where you can only change the voltages, but not the current, charging currents. So this is an improvement for that. Also has the multiple connectors available. You can see the microphone head, Anderson head, also terminal block. They are all standard models. That means no MLQ. So you can, depends on your application requirement. So you can select the suitable connectors for that. Yeah, it's suitable for all kinds of batteries. And then in a previous version, PB series, and then normally we suggest only for the lead acid battery, but for the new MPB, not only for lead acid, but also lithium ion batteries as well. The application, you can see, it can be used for electrical mobilities, like all the golf carts, e-bikes, and you can also use for some industrial handheld tools, like drillers or blenders, or even the lawnmowers, and some handling equipment, and also for industrial application, forklift, crane, drone, and so for some charging stations, yeah, either used for hospital or using for some commercial place, like a public place, like airports. Okay, here I would like to do some summary of these 3 product lines that we introduced today. Now, the first one is the new inverters that you can use for all kinds of markets, like railway, medical, and the building automation and the green energies. Yeah. And then what is the application? It can be for the camping cars, ambulance, fire protections, equipment. For chargers that we introduced about the MPB, many is for MPB. Yeah, we don't talk about more on the MPB because you may have a question: what's the difference between the MPB and MPP? Is like MPB has a more intelligent function, where the MPP is like for the simple charger, or even you can use for the power supply. So I would say it's a simplified version of the chargers, smart chargers. So MPP is more intelligent, and MPP is simplified versions. Okay, but since we are going to launch the MPB soon in July, and then later will be MPB, So then I don't talk too much into the details, but you will get more information in the second half of the new product introduction of this year. So you can use for the market, for the electrical vehicle, and the energy storage, and then for the applications is for e-bikes, scooters, and some electrical lawnmowers, some for industrial applications. The third one is enclosed type, where we talk about our HRP-N and also PHP. Also, we mentioned about the HEP 1000 wiring versions, and you can suitable for all kinds of industrial, household, laser, and even greenhouse agriculture applications. And here you can see the equipment that is suitable for that. Okay, so this part I already finished for the new product introduction. And now I would like to invite my colleague Dylan to give the applications for the enclosed and charger inverters. Okay, Dylan.
Okay, so first, thanks for Wen's introduction in the first part. And in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will be the speaker. So we'll start from the first inverter product line. I will introduce more information of the new features of NTS or NTU series. So I will divide it into two parts, the features and also the applications. So first, let's have a look at the general configuration when using the inverter. From the left side, you can see we have the battery, which is connected to the DC input to the inverter as the input power supply. And we connect the application load at the AC output. And especially if you choose the NTU series, you will have one more AC bypass AC input in that. So therefore, you can connect the AC means powered from the power grid. So in the following slides, I will also explain how does the AC bypass mode work for the NTU series. To make the application setting easier, we have the new DIP switch. So you can find this DIP switch at the side of the inverter. So there are 4 DIP switch positions. You can use the first 3 DIP switch for the voltage and frequency settings according to the regions. So you can use the switch 4 to set if you want to change the inverter for the saving mode. So by default, this is disabled, that is on the off position. So how does the saving mode work? So if you put the DIP position for the SW4 to the on position, you set the unit in the saving mode. So once your application is turned off, so under this mode, the units will continuously detect the output load condition. And once the load is less than 10 watts, the unit will switch from the inverter mode to saving mode. So at this moment, there will be no continuous AC output. And in the saving mode, the inverter will send a pulse in every 3 seconds to detect the load condition. So by the calculation of the load by the internal microprocessor, so once the load is connected again, the inverter will detect and switch from the saving mode to the inverter mode again to provide the output power. Of course, by default, you can also use the inverter in the non-saving mode. So at this moment, you will have the continuous output, whatever you connect your load or not. So due to the benefit of the saving mode, as you can see, based on the data of the NTS 750, the no-load power consumption in the saving mode is much lower than the non-saving mode. For example, for NTS 750, it's only less than 1.5 watts. So due to the benefits of the low standby voltage, you can simply use it for the recreational vehicles. Once you don't need, you can turn off all the electrical appliances in the truck and which could increase the standby time from the battery bank and also the life cycle of the battery. So let's continue for the NTU features. As we mentioned in the first slide of the general configuration, we mentioned that for NTU series, it provides you the bypass features. So the bypass features is very suitable for the application of the UPS. So how does it work? Let's have a look step by step. So let's assume we have the system as the left picture shows. We have the battery connected at the input of the inverter. We connect the application load at the output AC. We connect the AC from the power grid. So if you need a charger for the charge of the battery. So in the first time internal, you can see there is the power from the power grid. So at this moment, the inverter will detect the AC power from the AC in, and all the power for the application load comes from the power grid. So once there is an interruption from the power grid, let's see the power stops. So the inverter will detect, and all the power for the application will come from the battery. So next step, once the power is recovered again from the power grid, then the inverter will detect again and change the mode from the inverter mode to the bypass mode. So at this moment, the battery stops to supply the power for the application load, but the power was directly from the power grid. So at the moment, you can also use a charger to charge the batteries. So once the power stops again from the power grid, so the inverter will detect again, and now the battery provides all the power for the application load until the battery voltage becomes low enough that the inverter will detect and shut down to prevent the fully discharge of the battery. So for UPS function, as we mentioned, currently only NTU series has this UPS function. So NTS series doesn't have the function. So if you need to select an inverter for the UPS application, please select NTU series. So U means UPS simply. So we also provide the IRC model to match the application of the NTU and NTS series. So what is IRC? So IRC is our monitoring and control unit, which could decode the RS-232 signals received from the inverter, and then shows all the information, like for example, the status information of the inverter. And you can also use the IRC model to have the remote on-off control for the inverters. So currently we have 3 different models. So please double check our spec to choose the suitable version of IRC. So the inverter provides different protections. So apart from the OVP protection, as we mentioned, we also have the UVP protection to protect the charger fully discharged. So under these 2 protections, the unit will automatically shut down immediately. So if you connect your battery to the inverter, and even at no load, you cannot have the output condition output. So please double check your battery voltage is within our working voltage range. We have the DC polarity protection. So before connection of your battery, please take care of the polarity of the battery. So we also have the second life protection for you, that we have the internal fuse in the inverter. So once the polarity is reversed, the internal fuse will be open, so to prevent the further damage of the unit. But Then you need to send the unit back for repair. So after replacing the internal fuse, so the unit will work normally again. So it has the overload protection. So for some hint, so how long is it? So the unit can have the 200% peak power for about 30 cycles. So for about 150% peak load, it can last about 10 seconds. For about 110% load, it can last about 3 minutes. So apart from the OTP protection, it also have the short circuit protection. So differently from the overload protection, for the short circuit protection, it will immediately detect and automatically shut down. So this is used to prevent the further damage of the unit or your applications. So if you find the unit have the output and then without any output immediately, so please double check if the application load is shorted or there is a peak power for the application load. That means, for example, the start inrush current is too long and too high. So in these cases, please double check with our TS team, and you might also consider to use an inverter with a higher rated power version. So in the previous slide, I have introduced the application for NTU that due to the benefit of the CV mode setting, you can use it for the RV auto. So due to the second benefit of the bypass mode, you can also use the NTU inverter because you can connect the AC means once the auto is parked with the AC supply available. And it's also possible, for example, to connect the AC generator to the bypass inlet to save the energy from the battery bank. So due to the benefit of the bypass mode, you could simply choose the NTU series for the backup for security system. So the switch once the power stops from the power grid, the energy will start, so the inverter will detect and start to absorb the energy from the battery. So the switching time from the standards is within 10 milliseconds. So this is to provide the uninterruptible output for your application load. So this is also information for the inverter. So next, let's focus on the charger. So for the charger, I would like to introduce some new features of NPB series, and I will also introduce this NPB family in terms of the functions and also the applications. So before choosing a charger, you need to know the characteristic of the battery. So this table shows you the most features for the common use batteries. And you can see for different batteries, it might have different cell voltage, different charging current, and even the different charging standards. So the cell voltage is also the battery voltage when it's connected in the pack. So NPB series can provide you those features. So let's have a look step by step. So first, you need to know what kind of charging stage you need for your battery. So you can simply select the charging stage by the deep switch, which is located at the side of the charger. So the left picture is just give you some typical information for the 2-stage and the 3-stage charging curve. So let's ignore this information at this moment. So apart from the adjustment for the charging stage, you can simply use the potential meters to adjust the voltage and the current. So the voltage is covering from the lead-acid battery and also the lithium-ion batteries. So the voltage is the both voltage that you need for the battery. For example, if you are charging a 3-stage battery, that you can set the voltage by the potentiometer to set up the both voltage of the battery. So at this moment, the floating voltage will also adjusted according to the both voltage that you set in proportionally. So you can also use the second potentiometer to adjust the charging current. So if you have the small size battery with lower capacity, you can decrease the current. So please notice that once you increase the charging voltage, please make sure that the total using power is within the rated power of the MPB. So due to the benefit of the wide range of the charging voltage and charging current, MPB series is suitable for most common use charging operations. So from the small size to the medium size of the battery, for example, from 10 ampere hours capacity to the hundreds of the ampere hour capacity battery. So for example, the golf cart and the lawn mower. So in the first part, this is all the information that I want to share with you. And I will invite Wen again to start the introduction of the second part, which is high power solutions. So let's welcome Wen.
Great, thanks, Dylan. Then we can move to the second topic of today, that is the high power solutions. Yes, I think I forgot to mention that in case you have any questions, and then you can write in the text board, and we will try to answer them together by the end of the today for the webinar today. But since in the text board there are lots of questions, which is very good, then we know that you appreciate that you are paying attention on this. Okay, before I go to the new product introductions, and then similar to the in the previous topic, that this main responsible product managers is not me, but the Paul Xu, who is also in MEANWELL headquarters in Taiwan, and he's also online. And again, I would like to take this opportunity for him to give you a few minutes to talk about what's the outlook and what's the strategies, and for the new products, and then for the emerging markets and application, which can be helpful for the promotions. Okay, Paul, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, good day, MEANWELL's distribution partners. Yeah, I am Paul Xu. I'm a product manager with MEANWELL headquarters. And before Wen go deep dive into the product introduction of high power solutions, let me share with you some information of MEANWELL's high power product. Next page, please. Okay, so I'm in charge of 3 product lines among Blue Ocean product lines. They are rack power supply, modular power supply, and also system power supply. And here I would like to elaborate more on system power supply. MEANWELL integrated digital 3.2 kilowatt power supply and charger with power shelf plus second generation controller CMU2 to create system power solutions. And maybe you already noticed that in 30th March, we released tech note regarding to system power solution. Is the application of system power solutions in a particle accelerator in Taiwan. Okay, and also we uploaded the EDM of system power solutions by the end of April. Yeah, these are good tools for distributors to share with your customers. Okay, next slide, please. And here on the bottom left corner, you can see the configuration system power hole. This online exposition hole belongs to my product lines. And please take time to take a quick look at it. And maybe you will find the materials of configurable power and system power are useful to you or to your customer. Okay, next slide, please. And here, let's take a look at the roadmap of high power solutions. So on the bottom half, it's a three-phase 4-wire product segment, and the upper half is the three-phase 3-wire digital product segment. So let's take a look at the bottom of the slide. It's MEANWELL's existing products, RST 5 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt. And based on both series, we upgraded this series from 5 kilowatt to 7.5 kilowatt and from 10 kilowatt to 15 kilowatt and in the same form factors. Okay. And for RST 7.5 kilowatt series, we offer models with forced air cooling and also water cooling solutions. And the output voltage of 7.5 kilowatt and 15 kilowatts will be 115 volt, 230 volt, and also 380 volt. Okay, and let's move up a little bit to three-phase 3-wire digital product segment. Here we call SHP 10 kilowatt series, and it's in the same form factor as RST 7.5 kilowatt series, also with cooling methods in forced air cooling and also water cooling. And also we prepare one new cold plates for customers to use. Okay, and on the very top of the slide, it's in planning our 20 kilowatt models and 30 kilowatt models. Okay, and for the scheduled product launch on SHP 10 kilowatt series, it will be around early to mid-January 2022. And for RST 7.5 kilowatt and 15 kilowatt series, the scheduled product launch will be around mid to end of April 2022. Okay, that's the roadmap of high power solutions. Okay, next slide, please. And here is the product strategy of MEANWELL's high power products. First, on the battery manufacture applications, such as formation and grading systems for battery cell manufacturer, and also with battery pack testing equipment, we recommend bidirection AC to DC, DC to DC converter, BIC 2200. And for the energy recycling applications, such as household EV charging stations with vehicle-to-grid features, which means that the power in EV's battery can be fed into the grids to enable peak load shavings, and also for the application on robotics, for example, like robot arms, especially on the kinetic power recovery, we also recommend bidirection AC to DC and DC to DC converter, BIC 2200. And also on the high power consumption applications, especially on laser processing equipment, UV curing for industrial printing, grow lights, DC house, which are introduced by Rex last week. We recommend using IST 7.5 kilowatt and 15 kilowatt series, and also SHP 10 kilowatt series. Okay, that's pretty much my short talk today, and Wen, please continue product presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I think, yeah, that's very nice and clear explanation about what we are going to do with the high power solutions. As you know, that the quantity required for this high power is not like enclosed type or some LED driver, which is very high quantity, but this we are focusing more a small quantity, but a higher margins and for niche markets. And then what the milestone, as Paul has mentioned, is like our power supply solutions, high power, can be not only also be used for scientific research, just like the tech note in the margin that you see that our power solution used for the particle accelerations. So which is very nice, because you know that MEANWELL high power solution is quite reliable and suitable for not only for industrial application but also for scientific research. Okay, then I will continue with the new product introduction for this high power solutions, and then follow my colleague Dylan again. We'll show you some application into details. The first product is about modular power supplies, NMP 1K2 and 650. I think NMP 1K2 and 650 is not new, but what's new here is the modules that we released this new module NMD-240 with a dual output. Yeah, so where the range is from 3 to 30 volts, and then with each is the 150 watts maximum of the output, but in total combined is up to the 240 watts. Okay, so for the NMP series, you know that it has both ITE and medical approvals, dual safeties. And here I would like to emphasize for the module power NMP series, and this very small design, and then both this front end or the enclosure and the DC to DC module can be sold separately, because they are certified individually, and then therefore the customer can just buy and then install assembly, need to make the complete power supply system or the unit by themselves. Dual safety, as I mentioned, for medical and industrial, which cover very wide applications, and it has the programmable voltage and programmable current functions, and then it also has a semi F47 approvals that is suitable for semiconductor equipment. It has a very wide range and all the intelligent control functions as well. And this slide we want to focus is the new DC to DC module used for the NMP module power is NMD-240. Dual isolated output channels, so they are the isolated, and then they are dual. Yeah, so they don't share a common ground, which is very nice for some applications. Independent protections on each of the channel. Output voltage can be adjustable via the separate potential meters. 2 sets of the remote control signals. 2 times MOPP for medical equipment, for the medical certifications. MOPP means of the protections. For output connectors, has a bicolor. I think is the orange and gray to indicate the priority and the output voltage, so that the user will not make the mistake to force connection easily. Yeah, because there's orange for the channel 1 and then gray for the channel 2. So one of the case study we'd like to share you is how does our customer use our module powers. One of the emerging markets or application is energy storage systems. As you can see on the slides, is like here is a containers. Inside is a lot of battery pack, and then of course some of them using our charger to charge the battery, but I will not go to details. But they also use our module power NMP into this container, where it's used for the battery management system controllers. Yeah, so you can see it's located here. So this is one of the successful story that we have made in North America. Another case study for the module power is for medical surgery room, operation room, where it is used to power the monitor and some computer peripheral devices. Because you know the whole system is installed in the operation room. Therefore, the medical grade is required. So you cannot just take the normal the computer ATX power supply to use that. No, you cannot. So you need to have a medical grade and then with a reliable power unit. And our NMP is very suitable for this application. So this is one of the successful project we have done in Belgium. Okay, so the next product we'd like to introduce you is the UMP-400. It's also the modular power supply, and then but in a smaller designs. It is a fanless design, and then with an enclosed housing, and you don't need to give the conventional cooling. Then it can provide the full power at 400 watts, and it works together with an NID module, which is a D2D modules, and therefore the total create multiple output to achieve this module powers. Yeah. So UMP-400 and NID D2D module can be ordered separately. So that means that in case your system only need a NID D2D modules, so you don't have to buy. You can just order for us separately. And then in case you need a UMP 400 and with a multiple output, then you just order the UMP. The safety approval is based on ITE, and then is design referred to the medical approvals, and they're used for the industrial and medical application. So therefore, very wide temperature operating range, up to the 70 degree. So where can you use for UMP? You can use from a lot of IT equipment, where nowadays is like a self checkout system or the devices like a kiosk. As you can see on the slide, that is a lot of the equipment with a screen, touch screens, and the customer can do the either self check or the use for the pumping the gas or the even charging stations. Okay. So then I would like to move to the BIC 2200s, which is MEANWELL first bidirectional power supplies. So here's the key features of the BIC 2200s, and then is a bidirectional. Here I would like to explain what's a bidirectional. Normally you are familiar with AC to DC power supplies. Yeah. So this is a one direction, and this unit can also provide not only the AC to DC converter, but also like a grid tied converters. Yeah, that means it will change from the DC and back to the AC. So this AC to DC converter and the grid tied converter, two in one the devices that makes this BIC 2200s. So that's why we call it bidirectional power supplies. It's mainly designed for the battery cell testing industry, like a formation and grading process for battery cell, or even for the battery pack analysis, checking, and also manufacturing test systems, even for the energy recycling systems. It's a small device compared to the competitors, and then it's a fully digital control. So it has the standard. There are two models. One is the standard versions and without the communication protocol. And then the second model is with the CAN bus communications protocols. And you can make the in parallel up to the 5 units. So it reach the total power to 11 kilowatts and the very wide output, the voltage range in the constant power mode. THD is less than 5% when they are working in the inverter mode. Then is a user selectable to work as the power supply or inverters. So that we call the charge and the discharge mode. But it's only achievable via the optional model, which is the CAN bus versions. And later on, my colleague Dylan has a dedicated slide to share with you in details. Very fast transition response time, less than 1 millisecond, and then has all kinds of the all-round protection mechanisms, especially because this is a grid-tied inverters. Therefore, we also have the protection is anti-island protection mechanisms. It's a design based on the IT approvals, and then a design referred to the 62477. So 62477, for people who don't know, is a safety for power electronics converter systems, and it's mainly used for the battery test and analysis equipment. The standard is for that. So we will release that in June 2021. That means that 1 month from now. So there are 4 models for the output voltage: 12 volt VDC, 24 volt VDC, 48 and 96. And you can see it with a forward direction. That means the normal A to D converters. Then at the full load this is the current that we can supply with the very high efficiencies. And then when it work as the inverters, and then due to the checking of the output voltages, yeah, from the mains. So therefore the efficiency will be lower. But in order to maintain the same efficiency, then we have to reduce the full load to less than the normal A to D converters, where that's you can see the difference between, for example, like 12 volt VDC version. Then for the A to D converter is 180 amperes, but when you work as an inverter mode, then it is reduced to 150. Yeah, it's because from the DC to AC, then the mechanism is more complicated. So in order to maintain the same efficiency, then we have to reduce it a little bit, the output current. So it has for the 180 up to the 6 for European the voltage range. So 180 up to the 264. 5 years warranty, because we use the Japanese electrical lead capacitors inside, and will provide all kinds of protections. Yeah. So how can you use this? In the left-hand side, in the right-hand side, that it gives you some black background to show how can you use to test the battery, lithium batteries equipment. Yeah, so you can see that this is the battery cell for the testing, but you know that the battery cells is only 3.7 volts, and then we do a charging 4.2 volts. And then you know that the smallest voltage for about BIC is 12 volt version. Therefore, you need additional DC converters for that to achieve this to down converter from 12 volt to the 4.2 volt. And then our BIC is placed in this position where when you will provide energy to charge your battery, and when the battery is testing, is discharging, and then the energy will get back to the mains grids. Yeah, so that means we call it energy recycling. And then because BIC has the CAN bus protocol, therefore it can be controlled via the CMU2, which is our control unit for the high power solution. By the way, that for CMU2 that we expect to finish our trial run by the end of October this year. Okay, for CMU2, then you could use to do some control remotely via web server or the internet and other things. Yeah. So as I mentioned, for the optional model that support the CAN bus, and then you can use the CAN bus to do like a remote controlling, sending the command via the CAN bus line. So you can also enable or disable the charge or discharge mode manually. Yeah, you can set the point where you can start. There's a criteria or conditions where the BIC should do the charging of the load or discharging. That means the energy recycling back to the grids. Okay, I think Dieter has one dedicated slides to talk explain into detail. So I will not go further with that. Current sharing, so the 5 units maximum in parallel to achieve the total 11 kilowatts in case is needed for the end system. So this the curve, you can find the detailed connections in the data sheet of the BIC. Yeah, because this is a grid tied inverter inside the BIC type. Then there are some parameters that is needed required for the standards, and then the standard require the THD current less than 5%. Then our BIC is compliant to that. Also for the DC current less than 5%. Yeah, that is for the mapping to the AC mains grid. So it should be, the DC component should be less than 5.5%. And you can see that in case there was a DC component. So for this is the blue color is the AC mains, and then for this pink color that represent the DC component. So it should be within 0.5%. Yeah. So our BIC product complies to that. Also, as I mentioned, because it's a grid tie inverter, so in case that the AC mains is down, and then it will enter the anti-island effect, and then in case then we have to shut down the BIC, because in that case, to avoid the further damage of the equipment, or further to avoid the electrical shock of the users in touch. So according to the IEC 62116, then the grid tie inverter is supposed to be shut down within 2 seconds, and then our BIC complies to the standards. Okay, so what's the applications that is suitable for BIC 2200? The primary design purpose is for the battery pack or cells systems. Yeah, and then you can also use for the for robot. In case that when the robot is the motor or inline the robot is stopping, normally it has returning energies, and when this is used for the BIC 2200, then it's very nice. So then sometimes if you don't release in a normal way, what people is doing, they have a releasing resistors, yeah, to release this extra or the returning power by the kinetic motor movement, stop moving, and then use a resistor to release this energy, which is not very nice. So so then we use the BIC. Then the overall efficiency of the system is higher, because there's no releasing the resistor, but all the energy generated by the motor braking will back to the AC mains. Also, you can use for the big load shaving. As I mentioned, I really talk to agree. I think it's a little bit too wide range. I would say if you have this battery at home, and then normally you imagine that you have solar panels that generate electricity, and then you can use this one. You can use this one to back to the grid, and during the daytime, and when during the evening, and when you go home, and then the BIC 2200 will start to work, because now is because in the evening you normally consume more energies. Yeah. Okay, so above is what I present for new product introduction for the high power, and now I would like to again give the floor to Dylan, who will talk more details about application for high power solutions.
Okay, so welcome back to the technical part. So for the technical section of the high power solutions, I will take the most time to introduce the BIC 2200 unit, because it's quite complex. So let's slowly have a look at the details of the BIC unit. So let's have a look at the outline. So the BIC unit is a bi-directional power supply. As the name indicated, the unit could work in either forward direction or reverse direction. Optionally, we also provide an optional CAN bus model. So in the CAN bus model, there are 2 control modes. So when introducing the CAN bus model, we will have a look at these 2 control modes. So during the application design, So we have some notes for the applications. So you will see some notice. So because this unit has quite complex operating, we would like to share with you a demonstration video of the test. So before the video, we will take some time. I will explain the setup in the demonstration video and also the test steps, so to make you more understandable for the demonstration video. Okay, so let's start with a bidirectional conversion part. So because the unit is complex, let's make a consensus of the words that I use in this presentation. So I will use the set voltage for the output voltage of a BIC unit. So the set voltage means the output voltage of the DC of the BIC unit. So to make the explanation more clear, so in this application, I will mainly use the battery as an example to explain the performance of the BIC unit. So I will simply use the battery voltage. You can think it as an output load voltage or the test increment voltage. But in this presentation, I will use the battery voltage. So set voltage for BIC output voltage and battery voltage stands for the output load voltage. So it has two directions, the forward direction or the reverse direction. So as the picture shows, in the forward direction, the energy is converted from AC to DC. So at this moment, the AC supplies the power to the input of the BIC unit and transfer to the DC for the charging operation of the battery. So it could be also work as a discharger. At the moment, it's like a grid-tie inverter. The energy is transferred from the DC side to the AC side. So at this moment, the battery is discharged and the energy is transferred to the AC side for energy recycling. So there are two operating modes depending on which model we are using. So we have two models, the standard model and the optional CAN-bus model. So the bi-direction auto-detect mode is for the standard model. So the programming bi-direction battery mode we use in this presentation is for the optional CAN-bus motion. So for the standard model, the BIC unit simply detects the battery voltage, and depending on the battery voltage, it will automatically switch the direction. In the next slides, I will give you the example of the operating condition. So after the introduction of the standard model, we will also take some time to have a look what is the operating for the optional CAN-bus version. So definitely for the CAN-bus model, the direction of the working performance is controlled by the user. So let's start for the standard model operation. So for the standard model, the set voltage by default is the rated voltage. For example, if you are using BIC 10212, here VCV is 12 volts. Of course, you can use the voltage potentiometer to adjust the output voltage, which is the set voltage we called in this presentation. So how does the power supply work and how the direction is changed? It simply depends on the set voltage and the battery voltage. Condition one, for example, when the battery voltage is lower than the unit set voltage. So of course, at this moment, the unit is working in the forward direction, that taking energy from the AC side and transferred power to the DC side. So the battery could be charged to the target voltage, which is the set voltage we use. Reversely, if the DC voltage, which is the battery voltage we mentioned, is larger than the set voltage of BIC unit, at this moment, the energy is transferred from DC to AC. So the battery is discharged to recycle the energy back. So this is a quick fun table. You can compare the condition and the conversion. So apart from the standard model, we have the optional CAN bus version. So in the CAN bus version, you can set the unit for C or D mode. So C mode means the charging mode versus D mode means the discharging mode. So please notice that the CD mode setting is only valid for the CAN bus version. So what does that mean? If you are using the CAN bus model, you can set the unit in the charging mode or the discharging mode by sending a CAN bus command. So the charging mode is, compared with the definition we used in the previous slides, is to control the unit to work in forward direction, which is from the energy conversion from AC to DC. So in contrast, when set in the discharging mode, you are controlling the unit to work in the reverse direction from DC to AC energy conversion. But when you are using the CAN bus, even you set it in charging mode and discharge mode, there are still some false condition, which is the abnormal standards. Let's have a look. For example, if you set the unit in the charging mode, as expected, you want for the charging operating. So the picture at the left side shows you how the battery voltage and battery current changed in the normal standards. So at this moment, this is in the normal condition, also what we expect. So you set the V outset for the target charge voltage you want for your battery. So the V outset is just the CAN bus parameters that you can send through the CAN bus protocols. So VBAT here means the battery voltage. However, if there is some mistake, for example, the customer take a wrong calculation or some other accident, that the battery voltage is greater than the voltage that you set through the CAN bus. So at this moment, because this condition that the battery voltage is greater than the voltage that you set for the charging, the unit will be falsely working in the reverse direction. So at this moment, the battery is discharging, but because of this is the false condition that we don't expect. So at this moment, the unit will detect and limit the discharging current only 5%. Okay, so this is the condition when set the unit in the charging mode through the CAN bus model. Similarly, we have another false condition when you set it in the discharging mode. So we expect when you set the unit in the discharging mode, we expect for the discharging operation. However, if you set the discharging voltage greater than the battery voltage, so at this moment, the unit will detect and go to the false condition. So the unit will be falsely working in the charging condition, but only limit the charging curve at 5%. So please notice in the charging mode and discharge mode, the set voltage parameter is different. So in the discharge mode, you might need to use Vout set reverse CAN bus command to set the discharge target voltage you want. Okay, so let's continue. LED indicator. You can simply see the unit indication from the LED. So when LED is green, that means the unit works normally in either normal operation or the discharge operation. But when the LED becomes red, that means the abnormal standards. For example, the overload might be happening. So let's have a quick look for a typical application. So in this slide, we'll show you the application of the battery test equipment. So when you want to make a battery cell test equipment, in the last section, we have mentioned that the battery cell voltage is much lower than the battery pack that we have. So in this condition, you can use the BIC unit, but you need to add an external bidirectional DC-DC converter to further step down the voltage from BIC unit to the target voltage of the battery cell voltage. So at this moment, the BIC 2200 is working automatically detect based on the voltage from the DC-DC converter. So the direction of forward direction or the reverse direction depends on the voltage from the DC-DC converter. Instantly, you can use the BIC unit for the
Oui, bonjour, Madame Noguera, Damien Smej, Société Avenet Abacus. Je suis en charge des solutions techniques de la marque T-Connectivity. Je reprenais un dossier un peu ancien dans lequel vous apparaissez en tant que contact au niveau des achats. C'était pour des gains thermaux de la marque T-Connectivity. Donc, ça remonte à quelques...
Okay, so let's continue. Sorry for excuse. So you can also use the BIC unit for the battery pack tester. So the battery pack voltage is much higher than the battery cell. So at this moment, you don't need to use a bidirectional DC-DC converter. You can just use the BIC unit. For example, if you choose a CAN bus model, you can control the forward direction or reverse direction by the CAN bus command. So this will save you the cost for the DC-DC converter, and you can just use one unit for the fast charge and discharge cycle test for the battery pack. So please notice that if you are doing the test for the withstand voltage or the isolation resist test, you must remove the screw A, which is located on the bottom of the unit. That you can see, you can also find this information in our notes, in our spec. And additionally, the units also provide the anti-islanding protection. So what is anti-islanding? So the anti-islanding fault is detected when the AC side is connected to the power grid. So when the AC grid powers off or the outage. So in this condition, the BIC will detect and automatically shut down to protect the worker. For example, later the worker will repair the power grid. So this is to prevent the further damage. So for the system concern, we highly recommend you to add one safety approved circuit breaker connect at the AC side of the BIC unit. if you are doing the EMI test, to pass the EMI requirement, you need to add an external EMI filter. So we also mentioned this in our spec, that you can find the schematic and the parameters in our spec. So this is all the technical information I want to share. And finally, we will have a look at the demonstration video. But before the demonstration video, I want to give you more information of the setup in the demonstration video. So in the demonstration video, we are just using the standard model. So we have the AC means with the circuit breaker. For the power grid, we use the standard model BIC, 48 volts. And we have the RSP 3000, and we have the DC load. So in the demonstration test, the set voltage for BIC unit is 48 volts. The set voltage for RSP 3000 is 50 volts. So the set voltage for the load is CV mode at 46 volts. So that means the battery voltage at 50 volts and the load at CV mode 46 means the battery voltage that we set for the 46 volts. So in the first step, you will see we turn on the AC for the power supply and we turn on the load to stimulate the battery. So in the first step, the RSP is off. So at this moment, because the battery voltage is lower than the BIC set voltage, the unit should work in forward direction from AC to DC. So the DC load should absorb the energy from the DC side. So in the second step, we turn off the load, but we turn on RSP unit. So at this moment, the RSP 3000 provides the power to stimulate at the battery with the battery voltage and 50 volts. So because the battery voltage now is larger than the set voltage for the unit. So at this moment, the unit should auto detect the load condition and automatically change the direction from DC side to AC side. So for the circle test, we turn off and on the DC load to stimulate the the battery voltage change, switch from 50 to 46 and 46 to 50. And then we can see how the BIC unit is working. And you can see the working direction is changed because of the existence of the DC load and the RSP. Okay, so finally, let's have a video. Then we will take over for the Q&A sessions.
Great. I hope you enjoyed the video. So this video shows you that how does it work for our BIC, depending on the load, and then the BIC will switch automatically between the power supply mode and the inverter mode. Yeah. So this is just give you the idea how does it work. Yeah? To see is to believe. Okay. So also I thank you, Dylan. I think this is the end of our presentation today, the webinar today. And now we would like to go for the Q&A session, which is very interesting because I see a lot of the things pop up, the questions you have on the text board. Okay. Okay. So you, so you can see the questions that you asked. I mean, this is maybe it does not 100% connect everything, but we try to have it as much as possible. So for the first question is, well, can we provide the slides materials? The answer at the moment is that it depends on the distribution right of the U, and then I think for Sebastiano, you are D1. Sorry. So for if you, in case you are D1, then you should have the email link of the materials. Yeah. But for this point, we will get back to you because we know who asked the question, and then we can resend you the link. For the second question, that the part is for this one. To be honest, I don't have a good answer for you at the moment. If there's the DingRail adapters for the HRPN series, I guess it's not, but I'm not 100% sure. So therefore, I cannot give the right answer. But what we were going to do is like at the end of this webinar, we will try to get the right answer for each of the questions you ask, and then we will send to you for the overall within a week or two. Okay, so the third question is that how do you get PHP IP67? I think that maybe there's a misunderstanding, and the PHP has no IP67 because it has an enclosure casing, so it has a hose in this metallic casing, so it cannot have the IP67. So the next question is when does this HOG 100 version will come? There's no plan at the moment. We only have the HEP, and it has the certification with the IT approvals. So if you have any demands, please let us know via the sales, and then we can to check the possibility. I think from a HEP itself, it can have the lighting approvals, but at the moment, at that time, we don't have it is because we don't know if in the lighting it will really require such a 1,000 watts for lighting application, and you know all the safety approvals that cost money. So this is one of the reasons that we only have HEP 1000 at the moment. So the next question is, what's the IP label for HEP 1000 black type? This information you can, if you can download the CB report via the CRM with your account, and then you can download CB report, and this information is written in the CB report, and then I just I check it and I found this IP X0 for the IP label for HEP 1000. 100 volt type for what purpose? HEP 1000 is is for the charging applications. One of them, yeah. I am not sure if I know all of the applications, but one of the applications for charging for such a high voltage. Next question is how long for peak load 200% for the inverters, and this information you can find in the data sheets where we shows for here 200%, and for NTS 750 where it's 30 cycles, they can output with 1500 watts. That means 200% output. So that in this case, it's 30 cycles. So I would suggest to go to the data sheets, and then you can find the detailed information. Okay, I think this one, thank you, Nicholas, and then you already help. All ask the same questions, and then I think we already reply. And thank you, Yulai, for trying to reply to us. The next one is available to get the preliminary data sheet for the NTS 3200. Yes, it is possible. Please contact with us, and then we will try to get it for you. The next one is there UK 3 pins plug option for the NTS and NTU? Yes, it is as the optional models. You can find in the data sheet that the UK is also here, but unfortunately it's for optional models. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. So next question is about the new inverters where you have a solar input, and then can that be connect to the AC grid directly? And are you planning to provide the inverter monitor software for a new series, same as the old one? The first question, I think there's no solar input, so you need to additional solar inverter that change to the battery input. And the second one is if you select the NTU models where it has UPS functions, and then you can you can connect to AC grid, because when it's in the UPS mode, and you will supply from the NTU will try to use the AC mains to supply to the load directly. Now for the inverter monitoring softwares, and then this is relevant to the IRC series. So then that means that we have the NTS NTU in the higher power range. I think they can work with the IRC series. That means you can work together with these inverter monitoring softwares. So yes, it can be used as the previous one. Next one, the good questions. When the inverter start providing the AC, and then would the AC voltage start always from 0, or will be follow the AC mains waveform? For these questions, that to be honest, I don't have a good answer for you. So that this I will need to check internally to get back to you later with all other questions together. Because personally, I think it is starting from, it's not chasing the AC mains. So we could starting from the 0, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's why I didn't write anything here. Does the next one is, does the NPP carry medical approvals? Because for applications, medical version it might require. Yeah, the standard versions has no medical approvals, and also that I guess the price for medical charger will be more different than for ITE or household things. So I guess even though we could have the medical approval for the charger, but probably we will now sell with the same price, because we have to make the differentiations. So, but this one we will need to check in further whether it's possible to have the medical approval on NPP, and later on what's the price, the strategies that we should set up. The next question is for NTS NTU series. It is possible to specify on data sheet more types of battery. For example, like lithium acid. For example, like the lead acid, lithium iron, or the lithium iron batteries. And then I often get questions if the inverters are compatible with the lithium iron batteries. I think this is a very nice suggestions, and then we will have an internal discussion, and then we'll get back to that with it. Because at the moment, for our data sheet, we only mentioned about lithium iron batteries, but we did not really break into the details of what type of lithium battery it is supported. And then customer may have the question about about this. So I think this is a very nice question, and then we will have an internal discussion about that. The next one is for NTU. How long is a break when the AC mains voltage fell until the battery or the inverter take over? Yeah, this is also written in the data sheet. Is within 10 milliseconds, it will take over the job. Okay, the next one is how does the MEANWELL handle the change of market and remove the CE mark for the medical power supplies? Yes, this I was trying to write something, but I think then I don't have time anymore. Then I have to get back to you to host the webinar. What I know, but I will just talk orally. What I know for medical power supply, it is always not needed to have the CE marks on that. But because most of the medical power supply manufacturer, we are doing this. So therefore, there's no harm to have the CE on that, although it's not really necessary. So it was already not necessary to have a CE mark on the medical power supplies. So I think what we will do is we will follow up with new medical standards. Suddenly I forgot the numbers in head, but what I know is it has been postponed from last year. It's supposed to be valid from last year, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it has been postponed to this year, but it's more or less focused on the medical system and not power supply. So for medical power supply, we just can do what we were doing before. So we can continue to do the way we do it before. This is my understanding. Of course, once we will check further in details, and then you will get more detailed replies later on for it. Okay. So the next one is the 7.5 kilowatt is 4 wires. I mean with a neutral, and then yeah, you are expecting as a pure 3-phase. IST series is with a neutral wire. That means that you have to connect to this neutral wires. But for SHP series, then it is the true 3-phase converters. So then please wait. If you really need a true 3-phase, then wait for the SHP series. Please provide the post presentation information. Yeah, the question is about the post in presentation is not in the materials you have in hand. We will check. We will have an internal discussion, and then we will check if it's possible. Then we will get back to you. The next one is do MEANWELL planning return on the grid type? I guess it's a grid type inverters. Maybe later will be a new version of the inverters with a solar function. My personal opinion is for the household grid tied inverter, the business model is a little bit complicated. Normally you need to go through a little different project or the tender based or something like that. So I think it's different than what we are familiar with our distribution business. Plus there's already a lot of competitions, but we don't close the door. We will keep monitoring, and it's not BIS but BIC. So in case the BIC is successful, of course we can continue. We can consider about all other possibilities. Okay, the next one is can you explain the terms anti-island regarding to BIC, and is there a standard yet for the big load shaving in the EV environment? So yeah, so what the BIC do is detecting the effects and magnitude of the grids. In case the grid is down for some reasons, and then BIC will be in an island situation, and that could be very dangerous for the equipment and people, yeah, because it will still supply, will give the energy to the AC part. So therefore, there's a standard. I think it's in my slides. I don't remember the numbers of the standard, but about the requirement, which is the inverter should be shut down within time, 2 seconds. Yeah. So to avoid the inverter still continue supplying the energy while the AC mains is down. So yeah, this is I hope that is explained as well. And for second one, regarding to the standard for the big load shaving for EV environment, I personally do not know. I don't have any good answers, but we will need to check and get back to you later. The next one is BIC compatible with CAN Open. Well, the CAN version we have is a CAN 2.0, And then the can open, what I know is quite different than a can 2.0. In case you have projects or any other suggestions or the requirements, please contact us. Yeah, I know it's quite different for the between the can 2.0 and can open. Well, MEANWELL released a bidirectional DC to DC converter in addition to the BIC. Yeah, what I know is not because first we will check the sales result of the BIC if it's good enough, and then we could think about it. I know our competitor like TDK could have this D2D bidirectional converters. Yeah, but what we do is we have this BIC. That's a little different because we have AC to DC bidirectional. The next one, there's a BIC 2200 meet the IEEE 1547 standard for interconnecting distributed resources with the electrical power. This part I also don't know. So this one we have to check further details, and then we can get back to you with the good answers. And the last one, for NMP module, we have difficulty finding the M3 assembly screws. DIN standard flat head type have too big head for the enclosure hole and don't sit flat when mounted. It's possible you can provide the suitable screws for with the NMP modules. That's a very good question. I don't know that is the issues. Well, I didn't aware of this issue. What we can do, we will check, and then to see if we will check, and then if it is approved, if we found the same issues, and then we will have an internal discussion, and then we will provide solution for that. Okay, great. I think that's everything. Of course, I hope I may not answer all of your question. Sorry about that if I don't answer your question correctly or in the right way. But this is what I can do. And then as I promised, we will do this. We will send you the overall Q&A so that you can you will get some more satisfied answer, hopefully. Yeah, in the end. Yeah, and I think that's it. And then I think we are also a little bit over time due to this Q&A session. It's longer than I expected, but that's very nice. I thank you for your input and then your feedback, so that I know that you really care about this and pay attention to it. Yeah, I think this is the end. And then I would like to thank you once again for your patience, and then I hope that you get some information so that it will help you to develop the MEANWELL business together with your company, so that we have a win-win situation for everyone. Okay, so I would like to say bye from now, and hope you have a good day. And most important is stay healthy, keep safe. All right, thank you.